Same base, 5 Yankee, Sierra India Lima. Base, Sierra India Lima, just airborne Gatob, estimating Marty in 25 minutes.
During the course of our ministry, we began a relationship with a young Samburu pastor named Peter, and Peter was getting married. So we left very early on a Sunday morning with 10 people in the car. The latter part of the journey would take us up into the Marilao Mountains. As we climbed out of the valley, chaos really erupted. The first thing I remember seeing was a flash of white light as the window glass next to Susan was shattering. It didn't make any sense. The people began to scream, and just a microsecond later, a second shot rang out, and I confirmed to myself that this was the bullet from a gun, and we needed to run. I had only gone about 3 kilometers when I looked over to see Susan slumped into her seatbelt. There was blood everywhere on the door panel, the floor of the vehicle. This bullet had come through the door, through the steel, through her leg, and out the other side. She was not conscious, and honestly, I thought I had lost my wife. I was literally flying on extremely bad roads, just praying that I could get to the closest dispensary where we could properly tend to Susan. And there was no pain relief for her. There was only betadine and bandages. And then I knew we couldn't sustain this. We had to get help. And I got her settled as best I could and ran outside to find a place where I could use my cell phone. I had to make what might be the only phone call I could get to the AIM pilot on Mount Kulao. I knew Jeff would come, no matter what. Whether he could land or not, I knew Jeff would come.
25 minutes, over. Copy that, Sierra India Lima. We've got you airborne, that's great news. Do you have any more information? I've got enough fuel to loiter for a while. Do you have any more information on what the situation is? Over.
Yeah, right now we have talked to Ken on the phone. I'm hoping he can get his HF radio on. He's got one in the vehicle. If he gets that on, we'll have direct communication with him. But the plan is for him to try to see if the bit of road that they're on is actually usable for an airstrip. We don't know if we can do that yet, but the hope is we can, and I just want you pointed that direction.
Roger, Sierra India Lima copies. Thanks, just keep me posted, I'll let you know.
I had sent Robert and our helper Lawrence to look at the road and just tell me, is there any hope that it could possibly be an airstrip? We're talking about a road no wider than 8 feet, and we had approximately 1,000 meters of surface to use. And I knew that was enough for the Cessna 206. And I knew that the skill of the pilot was enough to get us in and get Susan out of there.
They're over.
Roger that, and yeah, just so you know, we are still trying to move the King Air north from Nairobi with a doctor on board and everything we need to stabilize Susan. So the hope is that you can get her out of the remote location and hand her off to the King Air, and he can get her down here to Nairobi.
When I turned on the switch for the radio, the first thing I heard was the conversation between the pilot who was coming. That was such a relief. And his dispatcher in Nairobi, who was organizing things from that end. I cried. I knew that God was in control. He got us where we were, and now help was coming.
Same base. Sierra India Lima. I've just finished the low pass. I can see Ken down there. He's waving. Everything looked good on the low pass. I will be landing from the south to the north.
You're now cleared to land at Marty. Cleared to land Marty.
Base. Sierra India Lima is on the ground. All went well. Ken is approaching the airplane. We're going to move really fast here. Call you next with the engine started, ready to depart. Over.
As soon as I heard the airplane coming, I knew things were okay.
When I heard the drone of the engine, a peace came over me as well. I told Jeff as he climbed out of the plane, "Thank God you're here." The first thing out of his mouth was, "How is Susan?"
Base, Sierra India Lima, airborne, estimating Marlaw in approximately 15 minutes, over.
It was the most powerful lesson about God's sovereignty, God's faithfulness, and God's love. Our testimony is that He is God. And even though the shooting happened, everything else happened that day because of Him. She has recovered, she is healing because of Him, and they should have the faith in Him that He provides for all of us because He is faithful.
It's a privilege to support the work of our fellow missionaries. Often we can deliver supplies or carry their friends or loved ones to them. But sometimes God allows us to be a lifeline when things go bad. With Ken and Susan, AIM-Air had to weigh a lot of the risks. Fortunately, one of the decisions that did not have to be made was that of financial cost. That's because at AIM-Air we have a program called Wings of the Dawn, which is designed to subsidize unexpected emergency flights for missionaries living in remote areas. Learn more about this story and about Wings of the Dawn at aimair.org/give.